Today, we are asking if tactical knives are actually useful anywhere else except tactical situations. We're going to be covering that and more on today's episode of KniFAQ, episode 230 of the Knife series, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to KniFAQ. I've got my wonderful backup crew here shooting me live to tape with minimal editing today, while our good friend Thomas enjoys a well-earned vacation. I have the other Thomas,
hey,
still behind the camera, and our good friend Josh running the camera switcher over there.
What's up?
Thank you to them for helping us keep the train rolling, of course. If you're new to this series, what we do is we answer your questions, of course. Well, if you're new to this series, it might not be an of course. And if you have a knife-related question and you think it's worthy of inclusion in an episode in the future, please drop it in the comment section below, because that's where we pull the questions. First one today, Reynolds117 says, "Hey DCA, I dislike most tactical knives. Why? Because of the back guard on a lot of fixed blades and some pocket knives. They are always uncomfortable and restrict the way I can hold and use a knife. The few I have gotten in the past have undergone surgery to remove their stupid dorsal fins. I know it helps prevent slipping, but the front guard is all you need, and most people are not getting into a knife fight. What are your thoughts on that?" Thank goodness most people aren't getting into knife fights nowadays. My thoughts on the rear guard on tactical knives is, well, as I understand it, they've long been less about slipping. I mean, the front guard certainly helps there, but more about protecting the hand from an opponent's weapon. Why are we beating around the bush here? So yeah, that's the primary purpose there, and a lot of military applications, especially like you might find on this K-Bar Mark II fighter right here, the venerable K-Bar knife. They still have that requirement baked into a lot of procurement processes, for example, which is why even on some more modern things that might be like okayed for military use, they have a more vestigial version even than this. Like, this is clearly a lot smaller than, when knife fighting was even far more common, of course. But I know what you're talking about, and I think K-Bar does too as well, which is why, if you've watched the New Knives of the Week episode earlier this week, you know the K-Bar Slabby has now entered the chat, so to speak. The full tang K-Bar is here, and they've made some concessions to people who would use their tactical knives or combat knives like this in alternate roles that it wasn't initially designed or geared towards, and made it better suited towards those other purposes. For instance, bringing that rear guard way, way down. They've also made the steel a little bit thicker, in addition to it being a full tang for more strength, for more robustness when you are pushing it beyond, combat tactical roles, so to speak. So this might be a thing that interests you. Certainly feels comfortable to me. And this gives us a good opportunity as well to compare it side by side with the original. I actually didn't get to do that on the New Knives of the Week episode. If I stand them on their tail, they looks like the Slabby might be a skosh higher. It's hard to tell, actually. Actually, they're about the same. The Slabby is a little bit of a taller blade this way. This is how I'm measuring things today. Slightly higher grind as well, so it's going to have a slightly, well, hold that thought. The grind is slightly higher because the steel is slightly thicker as well. So it might actually be the same angle behind the edge. I don't have something to measure that and confirm. But, thicker steel, slightly taller. It's a cool knife. Did I get everything right? Let's see. Here's the problem with live to tape. Can't cut around my little ums and did I remember all my things. I think I covered my bullet points though, so shall we move on? Let's do that. I hope that helps. Yeah. Next question, KWF 1125. Hey DCA, I've been getting more interested in carrying a fixed blade lately. My guy. I'll admit, as an office guy, most of my knife use ends up being food related. Can you recommend a fixed blade that's well suited for food prep, but still compact enough to comfortably carry in a pocket? Thanks. It's actually a bit of a hard a cross section there to achieve, because for a fixed blade to be pocket friendly, it's usually quite short. So it typically, like the typical uses that a pocket fixed blade could do in a kitchen is maybe like small paring knife tasks. But I did try to incorporate a little bit of that into my digger design. This is a collaboration between me and Igor Bortolucci of Straight Line EDC, and it's a 3-finger knife with a just over 3-inch blade. But this long belly on that blade right here, rising up to this fairly high center or above center line tip of the spay blade right here, is designed to give you a fairly generous, about 2 inches, 2-inch section of belly here with knuckle clearance to do stuff on a cutting board. Yeah, it's not going to do like rock choppy stuff like this very well, although in a pinch can maybe get away with it a little bit. But pull cuts through some things, certainly paring cuts are going to work pretty nicely with this. Keeping in mind, it is only a 3-inch blade, and therefore its food prep applications will be, better suited to the smaller things, of course. Very cool knife in my opinion. Maybe a little biased, certainly, but I think it's a cool knife. Thin blade of 14C28 and steel, which is stainless and very tough. Holds an edge pretty decently as well. Some micarta and G10 handle options, and a true pocket sheath here. Black leather with a magnetic flap to hold it in place in your pocket. Also looks nice and classy in my opinion in an office setting. Your office may be different and your mileage may vary, of course. But if you need to keep it more subtle than this, you've got the ability to use the second magnet in the sheath itself for a more deep carry. And if you removed the tassel here on the end, could be even more subtle if you need to be more subtle. So anyway, I would say check out the digger. That has some potential applications for you. Hope that helps. All right, now we're on to Damyr's Buried Treasure, where thanks to his original question, we're heading through the alphabet, second time around this time, to show something that's never been seen on the channel before. And today, we're actually looking at Victorinox. There's a lot of Victorinox stuff on the market and out there, and I was like, I wonder if there's something we haven't shown from Victorinox. So I went through, I found a couple, or 3 here actually. So we're going to go through them all. The first one is the Fisherman. And it's sort of funny to me that we haven't shown this before, because this pocket knife has an implement on it that when I was coming up, every knockoff Swiss Army knife had this implement. I had a knockoff Swiss Army knife that had this implement. That was like the second knife that I earned from selling popcorn as a Boy Scout or Cub Scout in those at that point. It had this implement. I had a knockoff Leatherman that had this implement on it, and that is, where is it? The fish scaler, right here. Folks who may have grown up in a similar age or era of that I did, and even earlier, this was ubiquitous on so many of those knockoff tools, but you don't really think of them today too much, but here you go. You've got the ridges here to help enable scaling the fish, and the hook fork at the end to help with hook removal, of course. Beyond that, it's fairly standard Swiss Army knife fare. You got the 2 blades, you've got scissors, you've got can opener and bottle opener. The backside has the hook, the awl, and the Phillips screwdriver as well. Toothpick and tweezers in the handle, and the fish on the handle as well. But yeah, it's funny because maybe so many of my tools back then had the fish scaler, I tend to overlook anything now that does have a fish scaler, because those tools that I had it on were junk. Oh man, were they terrible. That Leatherman I could never get an edge on that thing, and it never held whatever edge I had on it. So this is not a junk knife, but that's one of my own blind spots, I guess. Next up, the golf tool. I'm having second thoughts as to this may actually have been on the channel at one point, because once I picked it up and started messing with it, it feels a little more familiar to me than if it was the first time I've ever held it. So this one, I know we haven't showed the Fisherman, so we've still satisfied the requirements of the segment anyway. You've got the longer blade here, which the money clip knife used to have, or did have this knife this blade when they were still making it. They don't make it anymore, unfortunately. You've also got the pair of scissors on the other side. Again, the same size as the money clip knife. Unique tools here. Well, we've got toothpick and tweezers, but unique tools. You have this cool multi-implement right here, and this is actually it is a T-punch, a groove cleaner. It's got a nail file here on the inside. It's got a cap lifter here, a little bit of an edge, rudimentary edge here for digging and scraping. Kind of interesting. You've also got the button here that you can use to mark where your ball is if you need to pick it up to let the other player play through. That sounded sufficiently golf terms. No one knows I don't play golf, right? And the actual golf ball button right here deploys the divot tool right there. Pretty cool. And this is about $80 right here. The Fisherman is $55. And the other one, which again, I don't think we've ever shown on the channel before, but I may be slightly mistaken, is the Wine Master right here. We've got olive wood, walnut is also an option. These are more expensive, they're about $195. It's basically a premium waiter's tool. You've got the long blade, you have the serrated bottle blade right here for getting into the cork area of fancy bottles. The blade itself is liner locking, but it's a button actuated liner lock right there. And on the back side, you've got a true corkscrew with the leverage helper here and bottle opener right there as well. Anyone who's tried to open a bottle of wine with a standard Swiss Army knife sized corkscrew without the leverage enhancer right here, it's a bear. I don't like it. It takes a lot of work, and I feel like a fool until we spill everything everywhere. This helps a lot with that sort of thing, certainly. There you go. Damyr's buried treasure for today. Which brings us, of course, to the lightning round for today. First question's from Graham Hurstwood. I am a master brewer who is finally opening his own place. Congratulations. My Wave Plus never leaves my side and is awesome, apart from one thing. No corkscrew. I am going to treat myself to something new to celebrate my new venture, but what should I buy? A wise and wonderful KnifeCenter team. That's really why I wanted to bring out the Wine Master today. I think this is a very special feeling thing. Yeah, it's not cheap, but it does feel special, and it is going to do something really cool for you. And looks good too if you're from a customer-facing perspective. If you bring that out for a demonstration or whatever you're doing, you're going to get some points for sure. Next question, Steve Legas. What is tactical? How many knife owners use their knives tactically? Well, I'd say a tactical knife is primarily a genre, if that makes sense. Just like any knife can be used tactically, in the same way that any knife can be used for survival. But when we talk about a survival knife or a tactical knife, it just tends to have an agreed upon set of features that we associate with a knife intended for that sort of thing. How many knife owners use their knives tactically? Very few, and thank goodness for that. But it's nice to have it if you need it. Paul Ron has our next question. Greetings from Southern Colorado. DCA and Thomas. We still have a Thomas here, so
Hey.
that still works. I recall you mentioning the Artisan/CJRB AR RPM 9 is a proprietary powder steel. Is this product also created in Sweden, like the CPM Aerosteel products and others? The CPM stuff now, the powder, the actual powdered elements that go into making powder steels, as far as I know, are still only produced by this one place in Sweden. At least all the knife steel makers are tied to this one source. RPM 9 is not a powder steel. It is a spray form steel, which is somewhere in between your classic ingot melted crucible steel and your powder metallurgy stuff. It's made in China by one of their manufacturing partners. And the cool thing about it is it gives it a little more street cred, so to speak, than the standard 9CR on which RPM 9 is based. It also gives it a little more toughness than standard 9CR. And because they've got the supply chain tightly integrated, it allows us to get really high quality blades on really low priced knives like this Acacia right here. This is a $30 knife with a spray form steel, RPM 9, 3¼ inch long, crossbar lock, injection molded handles to keep that cost down, ceramic ball bearings in the pivot. 30 bucks. I mean, come on. And it's a really good steel. It's part of the reason, one of the reasons why I wanted to work with CGRB when I designed my Maximal pocket knife, this collaboration with them. So I believe in it. It's a really nice steel. Check it out. That's not a powder steel. Well, now we come to our finalist question of the day, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day, which comes from Joshua Ritzheimer. As Frodo and Sam trekked to Mordor, what pocket knife do you think Sam would have carried? He was a gardener by trade and passion. He prepared the food when they had it, and he was outside in the elements for most of that time, and so was faced with all the basic tasks an outdoorsman would be. I mean, the first thing that came to mind, I think, is very appropriate. As we all know, or should know, hobbits will take any shortcut to mushrooms, so we definitely need a mushroom knife. Now, you may think I'm going to go with one of the, the hook-bladed knives with the brush on the end. Thank you, Thomas. I can say thank you, Thomas, without even missing a beat here. And one could go like that, but Citadel actually makes a limited edition mushroom knife, and I have it right here. And it is perfectly Hobbit-sized, as you can see as well. Pocket knife? Maybe. It depends on how big the pocket is, but it is nice and small. You've got a leather sleeve essentially right here, no belt attachment, so yeah, slip it into a pocket. 179 bucks for this DNH7 blade, 2 3/4 inches long, convex ground, really cool handle, bone with, it looks like buffalo horn bolsters. It actually isn't listed, I don't think, on the page right here, but that is what it looks like. Red liners as well. That's a wonderful little pocket knife for a hobbit. And you got a little knuckle clearance there maybe to do the food prep. You could skin with it, and it's a mushroom knife, so there you go. If I had to pick something else, I know you mentioned pocket knife, but I start thinking about what else they're going to carry, right? This may be a little too large, but the Victorinox Venture. Because my first thought was, well, he's going to need a butcher knife, right? To field process stuff and do the food prep, and it seems very appropriate. The smallest butcher knife we have, or I actually have it over here, is over a 5-inch blade. The Feldkniven F3Z right here. So it just felt a little too big for a hobbit, quite honestly. And yeah, the Venture is kind of big too, but it is a little smaller, and you've got this great domestic feeling blade shape. If you know what, like, the reason I say that is there's nothing tactical feeling about this. It is just a pure working basic blade shape. And it's a Venture, and they're going on a venture, right? It worked in my head anyway. That's all I got, folks. Anyway, keep your questions coming. If you've got any alternate suggestions for folks, leave them down in the comments below. And if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com. Don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to buy one of these knives today, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I just had a thought, you guys. The Digger would actually be pretty good for the Hobbit as well. It's got the right handle size already. And we talked about the food prep applications, didn't we? We'll go with that. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm David, that's Thomas, that's Josh. We're from the Knife Center, signing off. We'll see you next time.